The research debate submission to MBR is a particularly nice way to write up a problem because it has built-in tension. And the idea of a research debate is finding a subject or a research question where there is a significant difference either between researchers or, even better, between research findings and what people in practice actually believe. And there are a lot of examples of that out there. Now, the research debate submission is expected to identify a research question of practical importance. If the research question does not have any importance, then the fact that there's a debate on it isn't really going to interest anyone. You want to prevent two or more conflicting perspectives on the question, and this could be based upon the research literature, or it could be based upon the research literature and the practitioner literature. The point is, we want the distinction between the two perspectives to be as clear as possible. We then look to analyze the underlying assumptions leading to the different perspectives, consider how these perspectives might be reconciled, and identify situations where each perspective might have validity, and then maybe identify situations where neither perspective might be very useful. And the idea here is not to come to a conclusion in the debate in most cases. If you feel very strongly that one perspective is right and the other is wrong, you certainly can make the argument for the right perspective. But for the most part, what we're trying to do is make sense of the perspectives and try to understand how different points of view could come about and better understand both perspectives. When a reviewer is looking at an MBR research debate submission, there are a number of things we want them to take into consideration. The first is, of course, the significance of the question being asked. This is true of almost all MBR submissions. If nobody's interested in the question, then there's not much reason to publish an answer to it. Particularly important in the research debate is the degree to which we can actually come up with different perspectives that divide practicing managers, divide researchers, or create a gap between research and practice. We really want the research debate submission to be an actual debate. And obviously then we want look at the degree to which our analysis is likely to provide value. Does the way we try to reconcile the debate actually provide any useful information, or is it likely to leave things as is? Obviously, we want to provide useful information. And then finally, the obligatory presentation of findings in a manner that's likely to engage readers. You have to remember that the target readers for this are managers and scholar practitioners as opposed to being pure researchers. The instructions are pretty much the same as always. You use the template by saving it under another file name so you don't lose the original template. You can get rid of the instructions page when you're due with it. Use the title and heading styles that are already set up in the template, and you need to create a reviewer appendix at the end, which is going to be used by the reviewers to determine the rigor of the research that's being reported here, but it will not be published. So the reviewer appendix is where essentially you establish that you used good research practices in creating your submission. The research debate cover page follows the same format as the other MBR cover pages. You have a title, you have a tagline. The tagline is very important. When we print the journal, your tagline description will be included with the title of the article. When the journal goes on the web, the tagline description is going to appear when the article is listed as being published. When we send feeds out to Twitter or Facebook, the tagline will be what gets the reader to click on the link to actually read the original article. So, spend some time on the tagline, make it engaging, make the reader want to click on it to find out more about this particular debate. You need a set of keywords. This is mainly done for researchers so that when they start searching the article after it's been published, they can find it, or rather when they start searching for keywords, they can find the article. And then an executive summary. The executive summary is the only thing on this page that actually will go into the article itself. This is a 150 to 250 word summary that really should grab the attention of the reader and make them want to read the full article. So when you write a research debate, there are some key things that you want to do. You want to demonstrate that in fact there is a difference in perspectives out there, that you want to explain the different perspectives, and you want to try to reconcile them or explain how they came into being, while they're different, essentially make sense of them. So the research debate article begins with an introduction which just highlights the importance of the business problem that's driving this, why we should be interested in the fact that people have different opinions, and what implications it might have for action. We then might want a review of the perspectives, clearly identifying that they're different and where they came from. Then we can actually talk about the debate itself. And here we want to sort of systematically look at the different perspectives. What are the differences in premises or assumptions they start with? How did they evolve? What type of evidence is being used to support each perspective? And how the perspectives differ in terms of predicted behavior or the type of outcomes you can expect from applying them. And the idea here is to make sure that the reader really understands the nature of the debate and further understands the nature of perspectives. In your discussion section, what you're then going to try to do is kind of reconcile these perspectives, do some synthesis. In some cases, you may choose to make the argument that one perspective is clearly superior over the other perspectives, but most of the articles that we expect to see are more going to be in the sense-making approach, where basically we make the argument, okay, here are how these perspectives might apply in different conditions, and here are the limits of these perspectives, because we're really interested in understanding. And frankly, if you just say the perspective is wrong, you're not going to convince anyone. But if you can understand why the perspective developed, maybe we can get people to choose a more appropriate application depending upon the particular context that they're experiencing. As always, the conclusion should try to be relatively self-contained, because a lot of readers will jump from the executive summary to the conclusions, and that will be the decision point at which they decide whether or not it's worth their time to invest further in the article. APA reference format should always be used for any references you have, and this particular type of MBR submission is likely to have a fair number of references, because you really need to establish where the different perspectives came from. The reviewer appendix, as is the case for almost all MBR submissions, is not going to be published with the actual article, but it is a way of demonstrating to reviewers that the process by which the research debate was established was consistent with a systematic and rigorous look at the literature and practice. So we begin with identifying how the different perspectives you chose were selected. Where'd you hear about this debate? Or, what made you believe that this debate is important? Then you can go into the research debate protocol, and this will involve looking, what literature you looked at. Now, if you have a lot of literature, you may want to consider creating a companion research summary for practice, which is essentially our kind of literature review article, and treat that separately and then just summarize what you have in this article and reference that other research summary for practice. You get two papers that way, and also people who are interested in a summary of research may not be the same people who are interested in actually better understanding the debate. Once you've established where the research came from, then you can just provide any explanation that's warranted for your discussion and conclusions, anything that's not self-evident within the paper itself. And as always, make sure that you have permission for anything that you copy, especially images that you might use as part of the paper, because you as the author will be certifying that you have not violated any copyright when the article is submitted. We just don't need the kind of trouble that you can get into if you use a picture that you're not authorized to use.